All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into the absolutely wild saga of Lululemon. We're talking about its game-changing origins and, you won't believe this, a high-stakes boardroom battle that is happening right now.
The company has lost its way. That right there, that's the voice of the man who started it all, Chip Wilson. And with just those 5 words, he has officially declared war on the very company he built from the ground up. So you've got to wonder, right? How does the guy who builds a $60 billion empire end up in an all-out war with his own creation? Well, let's get into it. This is a story about incredible vision, a whole lot of scandal, and a fight for the actual soul of a brand that, let's be honest, created an entire category of clothing.
So we're actually going to start at the end. Or maybe it's a new beginning. The date is December 29th, 2025. That's the day Chip Wilson officially kicks off a proxy fight. Now, what's a proxy fight? It's basically a campaign to get other shareholders on his side to vote for his hand-picked people to join the board and, well, totally reshape the company.
And he didn't do it quietly. He took out a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal, and his argument is simple. The company has lost its soul. He says the board has just systematically torn apart the business model that made Lululemon a giant, and that it doesn't have the creative leadership it needs. And here's the kicker. He wants a brand new board before they even think about picking a new CEO. So, how on earth did we get here? Let's rewind.
Okay, so let's go all the way back to 1997. Picture this, a 42-year-old Chip Wilson. He just sold his snowboard company, and he decides to go to his very first yoga class in Vancouver. And what he saw in that class, well, it sparked an absolute revolution. He had this epiphany. He saw what he called an unserved athlete. You had all these highly educated professional women, right? But the athletic apparel industry was basically just selling them smaller, lamer versions of men's clothing. Nothing, absolutely nothing, was being engineered specifically for the female body in motion. And Wilson realized this isn't just a case of bad clothes. This is a massive, completely untapped market.
And what's so brilliant about what he did next is that he didn't just go out and make a better product. No, he created a whole new playbook. It was this perfect 4-part formula. Okay, step 1, identify the muse. And he was super specific, a 32-year-old professional woman, aspirational. Step 2, solve a real problem. He engineered pants to get rid of, some common issues, making them something you could actually wear on the street. Step 3, the fabric. He created the now legendary Lululemon fabric. And finally, step 4, build a cult. Not with ads, but with grassroots ambassadors. It was genius.
And guess what? The formula worked, big time. After bringing in some private equity money to get bigger, Lululemon went public on July 27, 2007, with a market cap of, get this, $1.3 billion. Under CEO Christine Day, revenue just exploded to over $1.4 billion. But, and this is a big but, the very things that made the brand so special, its laser-focused product and its very, very outspoken founder, well, they were about to become its biggest problems.
And that brings us to 2013. This was the year the empire really started to show some cracks. And the problem, ironically, started with the one thing that made them famous in the first place: the pants.
I mean, it all just unraveled in less than a year. Just look at this timeline. It kicks off in March when the company has to recall 17% of its signature black pants because they were see-through. A total disaster, costing them something like $67 million in sales. That led to Chip Wilson going on TV in November to talk about it, which was a huge mistake. And by December, the backlash was so bad he had to step down as chairman. It was just a rapid, completely self-inflicted implosion.
Quite frankly, some women's bodies just actually don't work for it. Yeah, those were the words heard round the world. He basically suggested that the reason some pants were pilling was because some women's thighs rubbed together. The backlash, as you can imagine, was instantaneous and massive. People were accusing him of fat-shaming, and it was a PR nightmare. And if you thought it couldn't get worse, his attempt at an apology just dug the hole deeper. He put out this video where he apologized to his employees for what they had to go through because of the backlash. He never actually apologized to the customers, the women he offended. The damage was done. By February of 2015, he was off the board completely. Gone. Okay, so in the decade after he left, something interesting happened. Lululemon's sales actually tripled under the new CEO, Calvin McDonald. And to get that kind of growth, they did what a lot of big brands do. They broadened their appeal. They started chasing menswear, they got into footwear, they went after a more mass-market audience. But critics, with Chip Wilson leading the charge, started to ask a question. In chasing all that growth, did the brand lose its soul?
Did it lose that innovative edge that made it special?
And this chart right here, it illustrates the problem perfectly. You look at it and you see this awesome growth in China and other international markets, right? But that was hiding a really serious problem, a 2% decline in the Americas. And why does that matter? Because the Americas is their core market. It's almost 3/4 of their entire revenue. So yeah, the company looked healthy on the surface, but the foundation was definitely starting to crack.
And at the exact same time, you've got these hungry new competitors just circling. You've got Alo Yoga, which is brilliant with celebrities and influencers, and they're scooping up that fashion-forward crowd. Then there's Vori, who cracked the code on the men's market that Lululemon always kind of struggled with. And these brands weren't just stealing sales, they were stealing the vibe, the cultural buzz that Lululemon used to own completely.
And it wasn't just Wilson saying this. Analysts were starting to notice too. This quote from Neil Saunders at Global Data just nails the feeling perfectly. He called it junkification. That laser focus on technical, high-quality gear seemed to be disappearing, replaced by, well, a lot of stuff that just didn't feel special anymore.
And that brings us full circle, right back to today. Chip Wilson sees the company's stock tanking. He sees the core market weakening, and he decides that's it. He's forcing a showdown to try and get back some control over the company he created.
Now, what's really interesting is he's not actually trying to get a board seat for himself. Instead, he's put together this rescue team of absolute industry titans. First up, Mark Maurer. This is the guy who was co-CEO of On Running. He quadrupled their revenue and led that company through a hugely successful IPO. So, yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Next on his list is Laura Gentile. She's a 20-year veteran from ESPN, and she founded ESPNW. That's ESPN's whole division dedicated to women in sports. This woman is an absolute expert at building brands that genuinely connect with women. You can see the strategy here, right? It's a direct callback to Lululemon's original focus.
And his final pick, Eric Hirshberg. You might not know the name, but you know his work. He was the CEO of Activision Publishing. We're talking about franchises like Call of Duty. He oversaw a 500% stock increase. The guy is a master at managing these massive, culture-defining global brands. The message Wilson is sending is crystal clear. This board needs people who actually know how to build visionary products and brands.
And you better believe the stakes are high. While Lululemon's stock has just collapsed, it's lost something like $40 billion in market value from its peak, Wilson's other big bet, Amer Sports, which owns his competitor Arc'teryx, well, that stock has skyrocketed. This adds so much weight to his argument, right? He isn't just some guy complaining from the sidelines. He's proving with his own money that he knows how to win in today's market.
So, it all comes down to this one huge question. Can the founder, who is kicked out for his own controversial words, be the only person who can actually save the brand he created? That's what the shareholders have to decide. Do they stick with the current board and trust them to find a new CEO, or do they back the founder, flaws and all, who is, without a doubt, a visionary in his quest to bring the company's soul back? The battle for Lululemon is officially